sometimes.
Okay, I'm filming.
Stephanie, I can't sit.
Yeah, you can.
No, I can't. Stephanie,
Give it a go.
Okay, suck in, okay?
Suck it in.
This fit before COVID.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
And cut. No, we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna keep rolling. Make sure you're in. There we go. And we're going.
Oh, Stephanie.
Hello.
Sorry, Stephanie.
What are you sorry?
Are you sure our faces? I don't be mom. Can you even see us, Stephanie?
Yeah. Nice and clear.
I was sucking my guy on. I don't like restricting clothes.
Doesn't she look gorgeous?
I know, Stephanie.
You look so gorgeous.
You know, I just. Okay.
Okay, so it's the end of October, and why are you wearing this dazzling dress?
I reduce, reuse, recycle. No, seriously, actually, I do.
Yeah?
When I started getting more and more. We're gonna let them pass.
Go
But
ahead.
I love them because I see myself on them too. So I'm going,
take
with
it.
Yeah.
Where are you going?
I am with you. So when I started getting more spiritually conscious, and like you have a fashion line too, I started noticing how much waste there is in fashion. And so I wanted to do my part because I'm also thinking, you know, there's generations that are coming that if we keep up the way we are, we're headed for some big problems. So I started to, well, my mom actually got me into it as a kid because she would bring home these like secondhand pieces or like when we couldn't afford things at certain times, and I would sometimes snub them, be like, you gross germs, you're gonna die. But the more I started looking into the fashion industry, I started seeing all the pesticides or how these sweatshops are worked and occupied, and the matter of like sicknesses around them or parasites around these things. And then I was like, well, wait a sec, this is I kind of got rid of that stigma. And there's also like ways you can clean things also to be super sure that you're okay.
Yeah.
And then there was just pieces, like the quality of fabric isn't what it once was. You know this, right? Even when they say cotton, it's a poly blend, it's a rayon, it's something. So the pieces that they had back then, the quality, the textures, also the stories the pieces tell, because you know, people back then had a lot more freedom for authenticity to self, so they could express themselves through art.
Yeah.
So they had more individuality, uniqueness, authenticity, whereas now we see mass production. So not only was I saving the environment, I felt like I was giving back as much as I could. I started making pieces out of them. I started to experiment with different pieces. I started like appreciating older designers, ones I never heard of from around the world, getting a great price too, and knowing that the money that I wasn't spending on fashion, I could be doing elsewhere for other good things too. You know?
Yeah. I love that. I freaking love that. Okay, so where?
So you know, you tell me, do you?
Okay.
Do you like? How do you feel about it?
I think thrifting has become trendy recently, especially
Yeah.
with like luxury design labels, with like bags, with shoes, with whatever, I don't want to say leather, but leather pieces, right? Like I think it's a thing now that people are becoming more aware of, and it's like obviously taking a shift in the right direction, but I don't think there's enough yet. Like I just feel like for me to walk into a thrift store, I've never been like exposed to it, I guess, growing up, but my parents never did. B, the circles I've been around, like besides you, right? Up until now, like I haven't, like it's not like a thing that has been, I guess, like normalized in my life, and I just feel like this should be, and it should be okay to like think of, okay, you know what, like if I'm not using something and I've barely worn it, it's still like in great condition, like why not give it to someone who can and would use it and wear it? And whether that be like selling to someone, there's like, have you heard of Poshmark? They just like came to Canada, I think last year. They had their launch in Canada. It was only available in the US, but Poshing is huge. And I have a Poshmark account. And it feels like amazing to just like go through my closet and, you know, I used to like buy without being aware. Like sometimes I would just have these impulse buys on like fast fashion, which I am
Emotional buying.
emotional buying, and I'm able to like, yes, like recoup a little bit of the cost that I spent, but also give it to someone who's actually going to wear it and use it, and it's not going to a freaking landfill or won't wind up in our oceans or, you know, yada yada yada. So yeah, my stance on it is very strong, and yes, like with sustainability and like ensuring that like going forward I'm more like mindful of, you know, what materials am I buying, you know, where are they sourced, and where, like, what am I buying really, because before it used to be mindless.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at, and so I love this topic because I think we're both like trying to use a designer.
Well, and you know, I started getting weird messages when I started thrift shopping. I started like looking at labels, and the labels started telling me stories about people that were around the world. Some people talked about working in sweatshops. Some people were talking about the trade industry with the Jews and having the market. There were things talking about how people were captive in their own countries and couldn't express themselves. There was this wide variety of messages I started getting, and then these pieces of fashion started talking to me because they would either have spiritual messages or they'd be like costumes of characters I want to play or things that I want. Because sometimes during the day, like, I want to dress up as an Elizabethan princess, you know, even though there probably isn't an Indian Elizabethan. I want my long flowing like lace gown that's cotton, just sit around the house and have a feeling, you know, and sometimes I want to pretend I'm at like Studio 54 just dancing, and you know, everything was so good, right? So,
or you're like a beautiful, like, bedazzled, like, queen right now with cat ears. Where are your cat ears? You took them off. They're bedazzled too. I love it. I wasn't aware of the dress code today.
What do you mean? You asked me about the dress code, and I said, go how you're feeling, cuz.
Yeah, and this is how I'm feeling. I'm just kidding.
Well, I think this is amazing because I didn't know how I was going to be feeling. I'll tell you the truth of how I was feeling. I finished at the sauna because I've been doing these really intense sweats where I get on the brink of almost hallucination in a sauna, and then I go into cold hydrotherapy, and then I do this for 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2, with a gallon of water.
Do you cycle? Like, is this like hot and cold?
Yeah, like 15, 20 intense sauna.
Yeah.
And I do some energy work in there, and then I cold dip. But then I also do yoga and the hydrotherapy pool too, to open up my body.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't know, and I thought, okay, great, I'm gonna get a shower. I can do it there, but I ran so late, and then I came home, and then I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna put on my pajamas for you, because I was wearing my DuckTales, you know, that really rich uncle they have, Scrooge? I have that t-shirt, they're like falling out of control with their money, and so I was gonna wear that with my men's rollover pajamas. But then something said, you know what?
Dress up for me.
Dress up for Stephanie, don't wear pajamas all the time. So how was your week?
My week was really well. Well, good. I don't know. It was interesting. There was a lot of like different things that came up. But one thing I want to circle back to is your deep sweats, like your detox sweats. Why do you do it?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I used to be like an alcoholic, and I was an alcoholic for, I don't know, 10 years. Some would say someone classified me maybe as an alcoholic because I was a binge drinker. My thing was like, I just want to escape when I want to escape, and then I'd stop. But it was still the levels of like someone who would have alcoholism or maybe sickness to it. So I went through these very strange spells during my phase of drinking spirits. And when I stopped doing it, I had to flush my body. And the number one biggest organ on the body is the skin. And so if you look at people like the Native Indians that have sweat lodges, which I go to sometimes, I went to one 2 weeks ago where they drummed and I did a sweat with them too. These cold hydrotherapy ones that I do where I sit in the sauna for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I break it up in time, and I do specific yoga poses and breathing in them, and then flush in cold water. It gets me to these levels sometimes, like where yesterday I was in such ecstasy like the body's so detoxified from all the heavy metals, the pollutants, the gut starts moving in different ways that it doesn't normally operate without that intense of a sweat. And so it's also known for back in the day, many shamans, like witches, you name it, they did these types of flushes, sauna flushes, because it releases a lot of things that we pick up in the invisible world as well. Do you know what I mean? So besides the detoxification and increasing white blood cells and killing cancer and like, you know, the amount, I think they said that people that sauna 4 times a week, like the Finnish and the Europeans and all that, they had 70% less heart issues and diseases, and like 45 to 55, and I don't follow percentages because numbers are just a number of who knows whose number what that is, but like wrinkles, like just because it just helps so much with the whole organ, you know.
I love that.
Have you done one?
So I have, like I've done the whole, Scandinavian spa.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been there like a few times, but it's not something that's in regular practice because there's not a lot of facilities here, I feel.
No, we don't have a lot of facilities.
But in Europe, like when I was in Europe, they were everywhere, and I did a few, and they make you feel just so fucking amazing. What?
You would have thought that I would have been the one saying that back, girl.
Yeah, they just make you feel so like refreshed and revitalized, and that just like a purification, and you can feel it. Like it's like not just mental, emotional, spiritual. It's also like your body is so refreshed. I love it. So I'm glad you do that. How often do you do it?
3 to 6 times a week.
Oh my goodness.
So
Wow.
I do certain ones during full moon, like we had a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do certain ones when I'm doing certain energy healing, because there's intentions I take into them, and then I just love to sweat anywhere. So I just go anywhere I can kind of, like when I go to India, I purposely go into the desert in Rajasthan in the summer, walk for 10 hours a day in like 150, 60 in the middle of nowhere in the desert. I get thrown off because I love to sweat. It just gives you this euphoric feeling, you know?
Have you ever done hot yoga?
Haven't we done it together?
No! Have we done hot yoga together?
I can't believe you got wrong.
Not hot, we did power. I don't think we've done hot.
We haven't done hot?
Not together. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think we have.
What do you think of hot?
Hot yoga was the first type of yoga I was introduced to. I was introduced to Bikram yoga, and I used to go to Bikram yoga like every single night. I go to their 10 p.m. classes. They were the best classes. You finish at like 11:30 at night. I'd go home, shower, pass out, and it was the best sleep ever. It was literally the best sleep ever.
Yeah.
And I would I remember doing a 30-day challenge or whatever. Just whatever, because I wanted to participate in something, and it made me feel like accountable and whatever, you know. It gave me accountability.
I did 30 days.
I did 30 days in a row. I had to earn like that t-shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't finish. I did 28 days or something like that. Sorry, I have a bad mouth today. And yeah, like every night, it was like, it felt so good. It makes me want to do it again.
Are you practicing now?
Not hot.
Are we too dark? I think you should check.
Maybe, okay.
And then tell me about your practice.
Oh, we're good. We're nice and bright.
Back to
You can still see us. It's still pretty light out. We've got another like 10 minutes.
Okay. So back to your yoga, sorry.
I practice yoga, but different types of yoga and not in a heated room currently, just because of life situation. This is us.
Okay. What is us? I have to ask this question because this week I've been having very interesting experiences where I like sometimes to miss people. I like feeling my heart yearns for people. And because I've been watching my emotions so much and I fine-tuned my vessel to being like a violin that I can see where everything exists, how to play everything, how to surrender to everything. Well, not everything, because then my ego's getting in the way, but enough to be conscious, okay?
Yeah.
But it's so interesting, this.
Yes. Did you just get a download?
And you're gonna hashtag this is us.
This is us.
Can you imagine our friendship, Stephanie? Okay, so tell me about your week.
Wait, what? You were
I was sorry.
you were going deep there, and then
Yeah, and then I just
stopped.
went. Well, then I went so inside.
And then I was like, okay, I need to bring you back because we're here with others, not just us.
I love you.
Do you remember? Do you remember what's going on?
Can I show you my howl?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
Let's hear it. Let's hear the howl.
Okay, I know I'm not supposed to, and then we'll go back to this thing, okay?
Okay.
Of course. Yeah. Well, it's perfect. 'Cause
I'm
you're
gonna close
playing-
my eyes.
Okay, tell me how you think it is, and then we'll start on the deep thing, or pretend deep.
Oh my gosh, you're beautiful.
Thanks.
So beautiful.
Yeah, I love you so much.
Like I can hear like others calling back.
Oh, please call me. Call me 1-800. Call me.
This is us. That was amazing, by the way. Not everyone can do that. Like, not everyone can like muster up the courage to be like, okay, I'm gonna like release.
It just feels so like when I go in the forest sometimes, and you just connect back to being. We're all born of animal, yet man wants to kill animal, but at the same time reveres animal. And we came from animal. We are everything of existence. What is wrong with playing with the energies of our animalistic sides? So we can have freedom of expression. Sometimes fish, sometimes coyote, sometimes snake, sometimes small little petite bug, sometimes scurvy little mouse. Like there's all these energies that can exist that we can play with.
Yeah, I hear you. What's your spiritual animal?
You. Yeah.
I'm human. Why me?
Because, like, whatever I'm looking at in the moment is exactly what my God source is. So you are my God source. So it's like the energy of you, because this is where I am.
Oh my god, I love that.
Right?
Yes. I'm gonna have to like go back to this video, re-listen, and then make like quotes by Camillia.
Tell me how you feel, Stephanie. Why do I always have to ask you after?
I love like probing and like you just have really profound things to say all the time about all different things in life, and I think that viewers enjoy listening to you too. So.
And I think they love listening to you too, so I'd love you to share you with me, because I get to learn a bit, right? Because, even in our silences or in our talking, I want to learn, because there's so many things about you I don't know.
Like, yeah. No, I'm kidding. I'm nothing to hide. I'm an open book.
Are you sure? Are you sure? You sure about that?
I don't know, actually. What would you like to know? Where should we go with this?
Go where your heart is.
Okay, you said this is us. What is us? You asked that. So what is us?
When man and woman come together and seed comes to seed and we procreate, an energy of love is hopefully born. When that divine consciousness goes through the awakening of the soul and becomes one with the God and becomes an inner God on earth, we become us, we become them, we become it, we become nothingness in the existence of existence. We become the totality of all. We become all that has, can, will exist, because this is us. It just is. Take me or don't take me.
Well, like, it's that idea, the whole idea that, like, that thought leaders express, and it's in different ways, like oneness, or like you said earlier, you are me, I'm you, I'm a reflection of whatever, you know, I'm your mirror. You always tell me that, I'm your mirror. And
This damn fun music. There goes my ego, like, bad girl,
fancy. Oh my god,
Okay.
we're so funny.
Back to earth.
Back to earth. Yeah, okay, and that's another topic.
I'll be PJ.
Yeah, I don't know, I think like that's something that not, like the world is not quite receptive to, like as a whole. And I just feel like that is a newer concept to me, for me. Like that's not something that I was raised around.
What do you mean?
So like, well, like for example, I was born into a Catholic family, studied whatever. I went to catechism, I did the whole like, you know, first communion, had my baptism, yada yada yada. I went to church every week, like just because mom and dad said you need to go to church. But that was never, like maybe it was taught in a way, maybe it was taught differently. I never really paid attention to like the religion itself and the teachings, because I just thought that I need to show up and then I'd be like, you know, like here I am, like I'm
Good enough.
I'm in the good books, like, you know, it never really sunk in or resonated with me. And I think like, you know, I'm not against religion, but I would say I'm not religious. And like I'm not religious. I don't believe in a specific religion.
I think, have you ever thought that maybe you're just an activated spirit and you knew that the dogmas that are in religions and the cages and bars that we have in many of our religions, from Catholicism to Sikhism to, because I went to private school when I was younger and I did your whole Father, Son, Holy Spirit, you know, I kneeled on my podium. I couldn't take the bread because I wouldn't get baptized, because I do all religions, right?
But I went to private school?
Yeah, oh dude, I used to cut my, I used to cut my skirts. Oh, I got so much off because I wanted to make them like chic, super short with my little biker boots.
Oh my god, I love that. Badass Camillia, like with her like little edgy flair. Wow,
dude!
here?
Yeah, here.
Okay.
And they loved me. Like even when I was younger, even in elementary, and I went after elementary to high school. But in elementary, even the priests loved me. Like when they take me to these outward bound things, I'd be jumping off mountains. And then I'd be like, "Father, pray for me!" And I jump off. And he'd be like, "I can't pray for you because you won't take." But back to this religion thing. If you look at all these religions, there has to be something very sick with all these religions these days. Because the hypocrisy, the lack of truth, the plagiarism, the lost findings, and just a variety of realms. Man has been kept from the truth for thousands and thousands of years, because if man comes to know his inner light of being a source of God and being a God on earth, he can't be controlled anymore. And we live in a civilization where it's a system, and there's a hierarchy, whether it's visible in a caste system or invisible in the West. So I also think a lot of these books, I remember actually grappling with a lot of like feeling of sin or can't do this or oh, if I do that, I'm not right or I'm going against God or God's watching me. And I'd see all these beliefs that were put into me in these books that were giving me anxiety, fear, depression, didn't even ring true with me. And I was like, what kind of God is this? Or what kind of God wants some other God to kill someone else out of this? Or believes that slaughtering animals and watching things drip blood is consciousness and light of love. I understand we all need food sources for different reasons, and some of us, that's our only means to getting it. But I also think there's choices that one gets when they have options, and one can become conscious. Do you know what I mean? More conscious, right? Yeah. Some people are conscious too, but that's all they can get for food due to location or where they are, you know? So, I don't know. I'm just...
Did we just go into a really, like, delicate area?
So,
I think Google's gonna, like...
I'll take it back. Take that
Yeah,
back.
I think YouTube's gonna, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too. Take that back.
So what we can do, we'll cut this part out.
Yeah, we're going to cut this part out. So, back to religion.
No, way! No.
No, we'll drop it on this. We won't put that in there.
Okay, we'll start here.
Let's start here.
So, we can't share something with you because
Stephanie's gonna get us deducted.
we're gonna get banned.
Okay, normal topic before we go.
Okay, before we go, end of October.
Mm-hmm.
What are you feeling? Anything coming up for you?
I think a lot of fascinating things are gonna happen in the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of light is gonna shine. I think there's gonna be a lot of transformation. A lot of chaos starting to find its assembly line in order. I think it's a good time also to fall in love. I think we're probably too dark right now.
Probably. Let's just double check. And if we are,
Well, yes, we are pretty dark now.
Yeah, okay.
we'll like pick it up from.
Too dark, Stephanie.
We'll talk about love next time.
We have to delete half the fucking video we went to do.
See you next time.
Stephanie, we went too
Bye.
deep.
We went too deep.
I went too deep this time.
You did.
Okay.